In today's video, we are going to uncover some information that is, for me, still beyond words. It is the connection that the channel has been looking for a very long time. Now on your screen here, I'm sure everyone is familiar with this young man. His name is Peter Mims. Prior to the issue with the Fitzgerald, the week prior, he inexplicably went missing, was presumed overboard, massive sea search, Japanese Navy forces couldn't find the guy. Planning his funeral, and then 7 days after his disappearance, magically he turns up saying that he had been hiding in the engine room the entire time. You can just add this to the list of the completely inexplicable, unbelievable stories from the Navy that have come out of the 7th Fleet in the last few months. Well, the channel has been taking issue with a lot of the stories we've been getting from the Navy and attempting to uncover the truth. And one thing about this channel that's different than a lot is the people who come to the channel and conduct the conversation in the comments and do the investigation are the most critical part of the channel. And we have found some new information as the result of someone that I've made a moderator. His name is Philip W. And he contacted me yesterday with this link to Twitter and asked me if I would look into it, and I have. And when you put these puzzle pieces together, I think we're starting to see a much more terrifying picture. Now, I'm just going to warn you, this picture is going to be a little bit disturbing for those who know what it means. The ship on the left is the USS Shiloh. The ship on the right is the USS Fitzgerald. And if you look down here, there's the date. 6 June 2017. Now, for those of you who aren't up on the timelines of what had happened, it was 8 June when the Navy announced that they had discovered this Peter Mims was missing. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it was that day. It's very, very likely the Shiloh left dock here without Mr. Mims on board. And Mr. Mims more than likely was aboard the USS Fitzgerald, hiding somewhere. The CO of the Fitzgerald had only been in charge of that boat for a month and probably didn't know all of the crew by face. And as sailors come and go, it probably wouldn't have been a big deal for this guy to be sneaking around and doing some fairly nefarious work. And you would have to ask yourself, well, why would it be nefarious? What is going on aboard the Shiloh that would make you think something nefarious was going on? Well, we covered this. Shiloh has 4 Muslims aboard that were celebrating Ramadan during this time. Ramadan is the time when Muslims step up and act out on their religion. And there were 2 others that we've been able to identify. This guy, who was incidentally named Missile Defender of the Year. This is Fire Controlman First Class Carl R. Mourneville. His involvement will be revealed at a later date. But this guy here is a man named Yahya Seze, and he was aboard the Shiloh at this time as well. Yahya Seze, who is now a logistics specialist, is former Navy Special Operations. And this is an article from 2012. So, if Mr. Mims needed help staying hidden, or needed help getting off of that ship and back onto the ship, that's the guy who could have made it happen. The Muslim aboard the Shiloh that probably was integral in this plan to hit the Fitzgerald. Because if they have somebody on board that they don't know is on board, he can do all sorts of damage and do all sorts of things. When we talk about the attack on the Fitzgerald, the one thing that comes to mind is you have to understand, how did they know where it was? how were they able to find the Fitzgerald? Whether it was a submarine, somebody with a mine, a plane with an EMP, anything like that, they have to be able to find the ship first. Well, if you have somebody get aboard, put a tracking device in, especially somebody who is an engine technician, that wouldn't be hard to do. And those of you who are taking issue with this supposition, the suppositions that you're making about the original story would apply here. Because folks have said, well, sure, he could have hidden in the engine room for 7 days. There's places down there where, people don't go and all this kind of stuff. Well, if he could have hidden aboard the Shiloh, he could have sure as heck hidden aboard the Fitzgerald where they were not conducting a search. See, the idea of hiding aboard the ship, okay, maybe when nobody is conducting a search, but with 300 guys looking for somebody, there's no way he would have evaded capture on the Shiloh. But he could have on the Fitzgerald where nobody was looking for sure. You give me a search team of 300 people, I'll find you in a shopping mall, but not some little destroyer. You give me 3 days and 300 people? Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. I don't think even a Navy SEAL would make that allegation that he could avoid capture in even that large of an area. And here's the smoking gun. Here's the O of the MMO, means mode of opportunity. Here's the O right here. The ship was parked right next to it. And honestly, the way accountability is done in the military, there's levels. There's lower levels of squadrons and lower levels of people that report to up the chain to say, okay, all of my people are here, all of my people are accounted for, and then they, that makes its way up, and then there isn't one person that goes through and physically head counts every single sailor aboard that ship. And with 4 guys, especially one senior one like that Seze, he could have covered for this guy while he was aboard the Fitzgerald or somewhere else, meeting with people, disclosing information that would have compromised the Fitzgerald. It's a terrifying thought, it really is, but I know there's a lot of people out there laughing and scratching their heads, but I just got one word for you. Nidal Hasan. The man achieved the rank of major in the United States Army and did what he did. If you would have put that idea out prior to it happening, you would have been laughed at. They'd have said a guy like that would have never made it that far up. But yet he did. 13 Army soldiers are dead. This story with the Fitzgerald has stunk from day one. And I think we have just now put another major piece to the puzzle together of how this kid Mims was able to compromise the Fitz from the Shiloh. Because 6 June, 9:30 a.m., they were stone's throw, parked right next to each other. And this would have been an easy thing to do for somebody who wasn't looking, for, people that weren't seeing him as a threat. The most dangerous enemy you will ever have in your life is the one that you don't know you have. So I'm going to be very interested to see the comment section on this. I'm sure that it's going to be troll heaven, but it's still the truth. There's no way you can get around this. This is, of all, there's 1 or 2 coincidences, maybe, but not this many. There's just no way that you can have this many things all put together and not be able to see what has actually happened here. And I'm sure the Navy is absolutely scrambling to figure out how else they're compromised and where else they're compromised. I mean, this kid in this story here, if I want to get this right here, there's another one here where they've nailed this kid. They really have. Usually young soldiers or sailors, if they do something like this where they'd simply just go missing, they get charged with a UA, unauthorized absence. But this guy, if I want to get this right, the decision to use Admiral's mast was due to the serious impact this had on the Ronald Reagan Strike Group and also our Japanese allies, Newell said. setting the massive search that started June 8th and continued into June 11th, when Mims was considered lost. So this guy might be looking at prison time just for being missing, and that should tell you quite a bit. You know, the Navy probably doesn't have enough to come out with what they know about this guy, but... And just to cover that at the end, yesterday in the video I had put this article up about a former CO XO of a Arleigh Burke class destroyer that had tried to put the pieces together himself of the 5 different scenarios that he thought might have applied. And some people had taken issue with that none of his scenarios involved anything that we had put forth. Well, he probably can't. You know, as a former CO or XO of a ship like this, he has to be very careful about what he says in public, because if that would get picked up, you know, it could ruin him, his family's life, you know, and he would just probably see no end to peace. We here at the channel aren't handcuffed like that, you know, and we can speculate to things that that might happen and might have gone on. So this was shocking that the Shiloh was actually parked right next door to the Fitzgerald within a day or two of that sailor going missing, and within a week of the issue with the Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald happened on the 17th. This kid was found on the 15th. The kid went missing on the 8th, and this was the 6th. So, and the 2 ships are right here, so I don't know how you don't see the connection. So thank you, everyone. A little bit longer video. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you.